Okay, now, portion of our call for this evening is another success story interview, Circle of Champions success story interview. And these, of course, I love doing these. I love being able to talk to people that have closed a deal. And tonight, to recognize and to celebrate and to acknowledge Circle of Champion members, I want to congratulate Mr. Denon Williams and Mr. Terry Warren again. And we're going to bring them on the line here in a moment. Guys, you want to go ahead and come on in. I'm doing a bio on you. You're not welcome here in a moment. You can press *6 and come on the line. This is a deal that Denon and Terry, it closed actually a couple of months ago. We haven't had a chance to speak to them about it formally. It was their fourth deal in 10 months with the program. Fourth deal in 10 months with the program. They purchased another 12-unit property, all using none of their own cash, which we're talking about, throwing off $1,700 a month cash flow. And it's kind of funny, when I was talking to Denon, preparing for tonight's interview, he said, yeah, it's another boring property, just boring positive cash flow. Well, everyone should be asking and hoping for more boring positive cash flow. So I want to congratulate and acknowledge Denon and Terry. And speaking of the gentlemen, here they are right here. There's Terry on the left, Denon on the right. And guys, are you on the line?
We're here. Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, man, congratulations again. Great job. And how's it feel having 4 deals under your belt?
It feels awesome. We love it.
And a 5th one in the works, and more in the works. And I'm talking to Denon today. He's got some other cool deals coming about. We'll be talking about another time. But you guys are just tearing it up. So I would love to, with your permission, just talk to you guys about this deal. Let everyone hear about it and be able to ask you some questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. Let's begin. First of all, here is the property. It's 12 units. It's in North Carolina. There's the. Always want to see a picture of the property. Well, there it is. All right. Got a picture in everyone's mind. Simple 12-unit apartment building. And guys, what I'd like to do is, I know you've done. This is the 4th one of these we've done with you, but I would people on this call. This would be the first time they've heard you speak, heard of your background. So if it'd be okay, I'd like for you guys to share individually, again, kind of your respective backgrounds, getting into real estate, what prompted you to get started with apartments, and how long you've been involved, and let them know what training you've had. And I'll ask, I guess, Denon, do you want to lead us?
Yeah, I can. Background has been construction. As a general contractor, pretty much all my life, and never really, as far as involvement in real estate, never really pursued real estate as an option of ownership. Always built assets for other people and helped increase their net worth and their passive income, but never really dreamed of being able to own anything ourselves as far as real estate goes. Really, the only real estate I've had experience in the past is buying my own house for the most part. So, kind of get started in real estate just like everybody. And, buying your own house or what have you is usually your experience that most people have when they get started in real estate. And got started really in this year, January of 2011. Was kind of our starting point. We came across Lance, I guess, at the end of last year. Kind of really got started with this program in January. So that's where we've come since January of this year.
Super. Terry?
Well, my background has been in building supply my whole life, in manufacturing. I was general manager for some major lumber yards throughout the country, and like Denon, that's all we ever knew. And when you're supplying material for these apartments and everything, you're sitting there going, wow, why couldn't we ever have something like this? And then when the company and I parted ways about 19 months ago, Denon, in January brought this to me and said, look, man, we need to look at this and check it out. And like you said, we got on board in January, and it's been a whirlwind since then. And same thing. The only real estate I ever knew about was my own home, and it's been a great ride.
Let me thank you, Terry. Thank you. And before we get into the deal, I want to ask this question because here we are. You're as this call is being done, you're basically a year into your business. You've got, like I said a moment ago, 4 deals closed. There's a 5th deal that we're working on together right now, and I know you got others in your pipeline. When you put yourself back to a year ago, before January, comparing, the before photo and the after photo. I mean, what kind of, when you look back at where you were then versus where you are now, how does that make you feel?
It makes you feel awesome. It makes you wonder. Truthfully, for me, how did this happen? With me not knowing anything about real estate and not knowing anything about analyzing properties or finding funding or anything, it makes you feel real good. It makes you feel that you can go out there and conquer just about anything you want to.
We, to be honest with you, Lance, this time last year, I think both Terry and I had a lot of questions in our mind as to, what does the future hold? What are we going to do now that we're unemployed? We're both, circling around the 50-year-old age, and kind of scared really about what the future has. And then we got involved in your program and got a lot of an encouragement, through the process, both from these phone calls from you and from your staff and what have you. So we were like kids in a candy store, just real excited and just, I guess, believed in the system and believed in ourselves and enough to go out and get started. And, things have changed a lot. To be honest with you, it seems like a long time ago when we got started in January.
All right. So,
it's like this year's been 3 years or something,
So, well, you guys have done just an amazing job. So what I'd like to do is kind of drill down into this deal, if I could, and then come back, because I know you got some exciting stuff happening also tomorrow. I don't want to get too much into the details, but I just want to kind of, this is a mindset call, so I want to get kind of your perspective on some stuff you got going on tomorrow, too, if I could at the end, Denon. But for now, let's see if I can get this to work for us. Let's start with this deal. This is, I'd like to start with, I got some questions prepared to kind of guide us through this. Of course, we're not limited to this. I want you guys to open up and share whatever you want to share and are willing to talk about. But kind of begin with this opportunity, this deal. So if you can just share with everyone how you found this property, what was the situation with it, what was the opportunity you identified, and how, once you identified, how did you pursue it?
Gary, refresh my memory, but I think we found this property on LoopNet, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We actually, it's one of the first properties we started looking at when we were doing, what you suggest, Lance, is going on LoopNet and finding brokers and building up, relationships with brokers. But this is one of the first properties we looked at, and it was here in our backyard, so we went and looked at it.
So you actually found it on LoopNet.
Mm-hmm.
Super,
yes, we did.
Super. What did you see about it that you liked?
Truthfully, for me, it was the first one of ours, and it was going to be close to where I could go by and look at it every day if I needed to. Not knowing and just being nervous or scared of that first one. It was nice that it was right here in our backyard.
So if it was one of the first deals you identified and you're, a year into or 10 months into the process, I guess when you closed it, did it take a long time for the negotiations of this deal? What was the process in pursuing it?
When we first located the property, we found that it actually went under contract with somebody else. And, so we kind of, I guess, obviously stopped pursuing it at that point. And that was probably a couple of months or so passed by. And I ended up calling the sales broker back that represented it for the bank because it was an REO. And come to find out, other people couldn't close on it. So it was available again, so we started negotiations with them. And I want to say, what was that, Terry, probably around April maybe?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was April. And we went around and around on negotiations, and then actually had to get 2 extensions on the contract because we had a hard time trying. We had the investor lined up, but we had a hard time trying to get somebody to finance it. And because it was so small, not many of the players out there wanted to mess with it. And so I think we ended up going through 3 different finance brokers to try to get it financed. And I think it was the 4th one, if I'm not mistaken, that we finally struck pay dirt and was able to get it closed. So we started the process in April, and I think we closed in September. About the middle of September, if I remember right.
And the time you found the property, tell us about occupancy and kind of the status of the property, and then how that might have changed over the closing period.
Well, when we first located the property, it had, was it 1 or 2 people in it, Terry, I think?
Yeah, there were 2 people in the building.
Yeah, two of the 12 units were rented, and then it went under contract with somebody, we found out, and by the time it got back to us and came around, I think there were maybe 4 or 5 people in it. So when we were negotiating the contract, it was roughly 40% full, and then by the time we closed on the deal in September, they had 10 of the 12 units leased. And we stayed in contact with the management company continuously through the due diligence period, and even after our money went hard, and made sure our investment was kind of protected and growing. And, the rents, I think they were renting them for $550. They're 2-bedroom units. And, when we closed it, it was stabilized for the most part.
So, all right, so there's another lesson in waiting for the, even if someone else has another contract on it, just stand by because there's a good probability they're going to fall out, which sounds like what happened with you guys.
Right. Well, to be honest with you, 2 of our properties that we closed on, Lance, both of them were under, one was under contract, and another one was, he was actually asking too much. And that was the one in Winston-Salem that you looked at. And then, when I checked back with him, he had changed his leasing model to a student housing type model, and and the rents obviously made sense, or the purchase price at that point he came down some, but it made sense. It cash flowed great. So I called this guy back and found out that they couldn't close on it, so it was back on the market. And so that's teaching me follow up.
Follow up. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, the fortune's in the follow up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and especially on these smaller units, because we had, like Denon said, it was the 4th or 5th try with a different lender to get it financed, and a lot of people get into these things and think it's easy to find $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, and it really isn't. So you just got to keep following up with them.
Oh, it can actually be harder to finance a $300,000 property than a $2 million property.
That's correct.
Because it's just they think it's not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money to be made by a loan broker.
Right.
All right, so you guys find this deal. You go in the follow up. You're exercising persistence as you always do. Let's look at and me get this slide to work. Let's look at the numbers of this deal. Okay, so you got a 12-unit property. What was the purchase price? What's the cap rate? What's the cash flow on this deal?
Purchase price was $300,000. Cash flow currently is about $1,746 a month. The way we set it up with our investor right now is that they get none of the monthly cash flow. They basically get a return when we sell the property or refinance the property. And at that point, the cap rate is 15. I want to say it's 15.4%.
15% cap rate. Super. $1,700 a month cash flow, 12 units, and the unit mix is all 2 bedrooms on this one, I think. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
And you stepped into it day one with positive cash flow?
Yes. When we closed and had them prorate the rents for the month and the expenses, we did pretty good that first month, actually.
So beautiful. Beautiful.
You just, after everything's said and done, you need to be making at least $50 a door.
And you're just, if I do my math right, you're doing like around almost 150 a door, it seems like.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, excellent. 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 All right, so you got this smoking deal, 15 cap. Let's talk about funding the deal. You talked about it a little bit, difficulties you're finding in getting a financier to handle the, quote, the small loan. But what kind of down payment was required on the deal?
We did 25% down, finance 75%, and I had the investor supply the down payment, the closing costs, and a little bit of operating capital.
Oh, super.
To create a little reserve up front.
So you've got, I don't know, I'm guessing, what, $90,000 or so, or $90,000 of cash you raised to basically close a deal and put a little bit of seed money into it.
Yeah, the down payment and closing costs and everything was right at $90,000. I think we got an extra $10,000 for just miscellaneous operating costs and stuff. So
Perfect.
we got $100,000 note to the investor.
All right, $100,000 you raised from the investor. Now, is there any rehab required on this property?
No, there's some fiddly things that we need to do, but we're going to do them as the units turn. Right now, we've got 11 of the 12 units rented, and so we'll fix up as we do rent ready. We'll update and do miscellaneous. But there's really nothing that's demanding right now.
Right, and that's something. The broker was also the property manager. He was brokering it for the bank. He was the property manager, so he was fixing up the property, right? Then he wanted us to use him as a property manager, so he was making sure everything looked good and was fixed up. So when you have that combination, he's doing everything he can do to make it look good and keep it rented.
So, speaking about management, did you stick with him, or did you put a new manager in place?
No, we put a new manager in place.
Okay. You guys are not, just to be clear, you guys are not managing this property.
Oh, no. No, none of them.
Good. All right. So what are your exit strategies for this property, for this deal?
Right now, I've got a 2-year note with the investor, so within 2 years, we'll have to refinance, which I'm hoping by us having ownership, for a year plus, and having it stabilized, that we can get. Right now, we've got an 8% loan, so hopefully we can get that interest rate down. And if we refinance, or
Right, 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 right. All right, excellent, excellent. Now here's the question. You guys haven't gone through, this is your fourth deal. This deal you've described offline to me as just another boring positive cash flow deal, but this is a question I'll put to each of you individually. We've got people on this call still looking to do their first deal. People are going to be listening to this, contemplating their first deal. You're speaking to those people. The question I have for you guys is from the heart. What's the single most important thing you learned in this process and you would share with someone still looking to do their first deal? Terry, why don't we start with you if that's okay?
All right, yeah, that's fine. Well, the most important thing is when you're in this program, don't stray from the program. You know, you've got it written out in there for us, what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and that's what you stay with. When you get scared or you're not sure about it, you just stay with the program. You just it's so much easier that way. Then you don't have to worry about it. Then if something happens, then you call Lance and them guys and say, what did I do wrong? But if you just stay with the program, it works, and be persistent. Keep going back and, you know, and ask. Ask for whatever you think's reasonable. If you don't think it's reasonable, just ask. And then just stay persistent. Stay the, you know, toe the line for me.
Thank you, Terry.
Me, you know, this one was a good example of persistence, Lance, where, number one, we followed up with the guy and you know, just didn't walk away from the property. We kind of put it up in our follow-up file. And then the second one is the challenge of getting it financed. I know Terry, as he came over to my home office here numerous times, and you know, I was having to send the financial information to another lender again and answer the same questions over and over and over and over again. You know, I told him, I felt like I wanted to bang my head against the wall and what have you. But you know, it's persistence of just not giving up and believing that you know it's going to work out and having that faith and determination to keep going. You know, when you get on this side of the closing, all that monotonous stuff that you went through kind of falls to the wayside.
Yeah, when you're in the middle of it, it may be a little bit aggravating, but now you're on this side, it was just kind of a little speed bump. Is that right?
Yeah, you know, and it gives you more, even more determination for the next deal, because you know the next one's going to be a little bit easier because you've gone through it before, and you know what I'm saying? It's just it's like stair-stepping in your confidence, in your abilities, in your knowledge, and what have you. So it just it's building blocks, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Well, guys, I think, you know, deal number 4 under your belt, like I was saying a moment ago. Number 5 is in the works. You've got some in the pipeline. Congratulations again. I just want to, I'm so excited for what you guys are doing, you know, in your business and your lives. And I want to thank you for sharing it here. And first of all, I'll say congratulations and thank you for sharing everything tonight.
Sure, no problem. That's what it's all about.
Now, you guys up to fielding some questions?
Sure.
All right. So here's the way it works, guys. You have a question, and I've got some that come in already. You can either type in a question, send it on the control panel, or you can press *6 and come on the line. And I'll be moderator here, feeding the questions to Denon and Terry. But make sure you avail yourself of this opportunity. I mean, 1 year ago, these guys, you know, their real estate experiences, they own their own home. And they have just, you know, stuck to the system and launched an entire business, as partners, getting involved in apartments. They're working on, you know, very significant deals. There's some stuff getting ready to happen for them right now, which is some 6-figure returns on some deals. And so it's just a matter of, they told us tonight, the persistence, the follow-up, dealing through the distractions, dealing with a little voice, dealing with the aggravation at times, and just, every day taking the small, daily, consistent steps. So make sure, this is an excellent opportunity to get engaged with some folks that were, for many of you, they're just a little bit ahead of you in time in terms of where you are right now and getting started. All right, here's some questions that came in. Here's a question. Let's see. It says, question for Denon and Terry as partners. Number one, how do you guys split the workload? And number two, do you divide up the responsibilities per the 100-point list of best practices? Great question. Can you guys talk about that? How do you decide who does what? How do you, you guys do have a partnership, so how do you decide to split up the workload?
Well, I feel like Denon has 90% of the workload. I really do, and with him even working now. But for me, I find the properties, and I analyze them and go through them and talk to the brokers and try to get through the first couple of stages with the brokers, doing the, like I said, analyze them and stuff. And then I take them to him, and then he goes over them again. And then I come back and go over them again. And then, we both have different private money that we keep looking for all the time. But then after we get to that point, he pretty much takes it from there.
Terry and I sat down in the beginning and talked about strengths and weaknesses and stuff. And my background, coming from construction and stuff, I'm kind of a number cruncher, budget-oriented, kind of hands-on type person. I've been doing all the financials as far as the asset management stuff as we bring properties on and what have you. He is his strengths are bird dogging and finding the deals, talking to the brokers, and kind of negotiating the deals, so to speak, and what have you. So now that I'm full-time employed, he's been out finding the deals, bringing them to the table. We sit down and talk about them. He does an initial analysis to make sure it passes the sniff test, and if it seems to pass his, then he brings it to the table. We sit down and look at it as a and then to be honest with you, every project's a little bit different. There's some things I do on some projects, and then the next time it'll be something that Terry does. And it depends on who's available and what we've got to do, as a whole, as a team. And the biggest thing is that we're there, we've got each other's back, and we support each other. And Terry's out now for 2 or 3 weeks with his. He just went through surgery and what have you. So there's some things I'm doing a little bit more until he gets back up on the feet and what have you. So we just kind of cover each other's back.
Yep.
Super.
That's an important thing about having partners too. You've got to be able to trust them, know what they think, and know how they think. I'm not going to say you agree all the time, but if you know what each other's goals are, and it works out real well.
I think that's a key part. You've got to understand what each other wants to get out of this, and because partnerships can be a real challenge. I mean, everyone has different goals, and it's not good or bad. It is what it is. And you've got to be able to be cognizant of, number one. Number two, respect each other's goals to the extent they meet your goals. And I think it's super what you guys are doing. It's a real testament to the power of partnerships. Hey, we got another question that came in here. I want to kind of rephrase it. You talked, Terry, a moment ago. I think you kind of opened the door about talking to private investors, and the question came in: what's the best way to find investors for your deals / down payment? That's kind of an open-ended question, but can you just share what you guys are doing? Now that you've got a number of deals under your belt, what's part of the process maybe you're going through right now in continuing to cultivate private investors?
Well, for me, you're surrounded by possible investors everywhere you go. And that's family, church, work, shopping, wherever. You know, it's just, you just got to know, be friendly and talk to people. They're all around you. You know, when you came to our RIA group that night, we met a lot of people after that because of your presentation that night. There's a lot of money in the RIA groups and any of the real estate groups. And, you know, some of the investors we have now, I mean, they work within it. You know, they're all around. You don't know the situation of the people that you're around all the time until you ask and start talking a little bit about it. For me, that's my look on it.
Denon?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We were laughing when I was talking to you earlier, Lance. I heard Lance mention his mother as one of the investors, and she was really excited about, the Keyman life insurance policy, and that kind of stuck out in my mind. So our investor on this property is my mother-in-law.
Better take real good care of her.
You got to do one or two deals with somebody else before your family starts to believe in you.
That's right.
She jumped on this deal, and it's like Terry said. Right now, with the way the economy is, the way that consumer confidence is in this country, everybody's kind of complaining about money. Either they're not making enough, or their investments are basically dead, and the subject of money comes up everywhere you go. And Terry and I had just trained ourselves to be sensitive to that conversation. And when somebody starts complaining about money, my first response question back to them is, "Have you ever looked at real estate as an investment opportunity?" And if they say no or whatever, I don't necessarily close the door right then. That just tells me they're not predisposed, and chances are, I don't want to waste my time with them a whole lot, but, I listen to those who say, yeah, I've invested in real estate before, and then I just start carrying the conversation on, well, what experience did you have? What did you invest in? What kind of return did you make? What type of agreement did you have? And would that be something you would consider today? And then I start sharing a little bit about what we're doing. So I'm trying to build a relationship, and bring value to that relationship by saying, listen, you're struggling with your investments, and I've got some investors we're paying some pretty good returns to. And I think, if you're interested, we can sit down and probably work out an agreement to where we could partner up together. And so we're just planting seeds out there.
Let me ask you this, guy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's also a matter of putting yourself at the right place. You can't sit at your home and expect to meet investors. These networking events I've been going to and different seminars and so forth have been excellent fertile ground, basically, to find investors. Terry and I, or not Terry, Terry and I were at an event, what was it, 2 weeks ago? In Greensboro, North Carolina. And we met a couple of guys from Tennessee that could invest, and they want to get started in multifamily. We were talking to them a little bit about it. And then they, in turn, turned around and introduced us to 3 Chinese guys that live up in New York that have syndicated a hedge fund that they put together.
Wow.
And they want to get into multifamily. They've been doing all residential. And we just happened to be in Greensboro, so we took them by the Greensboro property. And, it was what, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock that night.
It was like that night, yeah.
And we were walking around that project showing them, saying, this is the type of product we look for, and so on and so forth. And they both got excited. So we've got 2 deals we're looking at, and we forwarded it to those 2 guys, or 2 different teams
Wow. So this, in terms of, let me put the question out there. Is there any shortage of money to do deals?
No.
No, there isn't.
There's plenty of money. All you got to do is just basically get off your doofus and get to work and find it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. Can I quote you?
Yeah. Well, Lance, I was even at lunch the other day by myself, and there was a guy sitting by himself next to me, and he was talking about building materials, and I overheard him. So when he got done, I kind of just introduced myself and said, are you in building materials? He goes, yeah, and he introduced himself and all. And so we started talking. I said, yeah, I said, it's kind of rough out there now with the building and all. And I said, have you ever thought about owning any homes or apartments? He said, yeah, I have. He goes, I've actually got 3 or 4 rental homes right now. And, and that opened up the door. And then I said, well, what if we added a 0 behind that 4 and made it, would you like to have 40 units or 50 units? And the conversation went on from there. And, he may be a prospective investor. But it's all around you. You just have to pay attention and don't be scared to talk to people. That's the biggest thing.
Well, exactly. And it's not like you have to be, a Toastmaster grad to
Yeah, listen to me. If I can do it, anybody on this phone call can do it.
it's just, you've got to, be able to speak about what you're, know what you're talking about. But after that, it's just being yourself, being authentic. That, authentic is the greatest sales tool there is. Authenticity, and knowledge, right?
Exactly.
So it's not, it's not about slick talk and saying, whatever, pushing them in, not pushing anybody. You're just presenting an opportunity. They make their own decision if they want to do it or not.
Yeah, well, he had already sent me an email before I got home that afternoon.
Well, see, yeah, and how much of it? Let's talk about how much of it. Do you guys actually have people expressing frustration over either frustration or fear of going back in the stock market, or frustration or fear about, they're worried about their retirement plans? How much of that do you actually hear?
From almost everyone we talk to.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
Everybody is obviously worried about the economy and the stock market. And the biggest complaint is that it's funny, it's like they're almost selling themselves on getting out of the stock market because they have no confidence in it. One day it's up, and next day it's down. One day it's up, and next day it's down, and they have no control. And my question back to them is, well, why are you in it? Well, there's no other option.
Right. That's what they believe.
And well, that's not necessarily the case.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, great point. Great point. All right, let's see. We had a question. First of all, anyone has a question, press *6 and come on the line. I got one more question here. It's going to be a short one that came in on the big board. David asked, how do you determine the repair cost for a property? David, let me field this one. I mean, if you're talking with a broker, when you follow your script, you'll see a point to where you ask, how much rehab is there on this property? And they'll give you, $1 per door. Maybe a little bit low, you can add to it, but you can get an initial estimate from doing that. And then once you're under contract and go into due diligence, you can have a contractor come in and give you a more definitive number. And the number's bigger than what you thought it was going into the deal. You have a couple of choices. Number one is you could renegotiate your contract. I've done that. And number two is you can exit the contract. You have the right to do that. But that's the simplest answer to getting repair costs when you're, getting ready to make offers on deals. All right, there's no other question on the big board. Who else has a question for these gentlemen? Comment, aha moments. Who else in this call would like to do 4 deals in the next 10 months?
Me?
I'm working on it, Lance.
Hey, Carl. What do you have to say to these gentlemen?
Congratulations.
I appreciate it, Carl.
But I'm working on it as hard as I can.
You're doing a great job, too. I tell you, some of the deals you're bringing to the table are amazing.
just like wanted them to close.
It will happen.
But not so much for me, but for my wife. My wife would like to see it happen.
Oh, it will. It will happen.
I believe it will happen, yes.
So I had Craig says me. Your colleague in North Carolina, Craig, just said me, and then Mike just said me. So in terms of who I can do 4 deals in the next 10 months. But all right, no other questions by anyone? I got a question for you guys. What's in the pipeline right now? What's in the pipeline?
Well, we had somebody interested in your Houston project. That's why I was asking about it earlier.
Well, I can assure you, it will be coming back.
We've got our Chinese connection was real interested in that one, and then we've got one here in Burlington, North Carolina, 142 unit one that our broker that we've been working with so long in Greensboro sent to us, and that one on the surface looks great. It's $14,800 a unit for a C product, and it's got about 30 units that are down, but the other units are 96% occupied, and so forth. So we're going to crunch the numbers on that one and see. I shared a deal with you. It's not necessarily real estate oriented. It's really more of a transactional funding type scenario, where we used one of our investors' money to facilitate a closing, and it wasn't a closing on real estate. It was really more of a secondary banking market, banking note, and making a great return back on that one. And
then I've got a couple in North Carolina, one in South Carolina that I'm still working with the city and the broker to get some offers on them. So we've got, I don't know, 6 or 7, 8 in the pipeline right now.
And you got a deal down here. You got a deal down here with me right now that's gone hard and on the loan assumption process right now.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Oh yeah. You guys just sit back while I'm down here, making you money, huh?
Exactly.
partnership's great.
Are those partnerships great? That's right.
Partnerships are great.
But you've got,
They are.
but Denon, you guys have got a 6-figure return hopefully coming in tomorrow, correct? You don't necessarily give out the number, but it's a big one coming in tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're supposed to have, it's closed and has been funded, and we are waiting basically for the disbursements of funds to us tomorrow, and it's about $170,000 return.
$170,000. That's U.S., right?
That's net profit, yeah.
Net. Now, you're saying it's not, everyone hear that 170,000? You're saying it's not real estate related, but you think you could have done this deal if you hadn't gone through this process?
I know I couldn't have. I wouldn't have been waiting for it.
No, it open up your mindset. It's basically a private money type transaction, right?
Yeah. Sure was, and kind of a hard money loan, so to speak. That we used our investors' money to make, and paid him a great return, and in turn it's paying us a great return.
Phenomenal return.
But you're
And
still
we're
going back.
taking that. We're taking that and turning it around and doing it a second time on another deal that's going to be even better. I mean, it's the return on that one's up in the 3s. So.
300,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the principles are the same, like you said, Lance. If we wouldn't have taken this course and learned how to talk to prospective investors and lending, institutions or whatever, we'd have never found any of this.
Yeah, and on these deals, this is none of your own money involved either, right?
Oh no.
You just I think you just displayed the entrepreneurial mindset. You saw the opportunity, you did some matchmaking, and you profited from the matchmaking. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, simplest way to explain it is my mindset is I'm looking how can I monetize each opportunity.
Right.
I mean, you talk to us, about trying to monetize some of the deals that we passed by because we weren't interested in buying and holding and doing flips. And that kind of got our mindset started, and that's when we found that property in Houston. Then I started thinking, well, that could be applied to anything. And so we started just listening, and somebody explained this deal, and I just happened to hear it, and we jumped on it. And I guess part of it's being at the right place at the right time. In the sense of I had an investor sitting on the sidelines. Already his money was sitting in a self-directed IRA account because we had it set up. We took the time to go ahead and get that set up. And when this opportunity came, I met with my investor one night, and I had his funds wired the next morning. And, it happened that quick.
Let me ask you this. Did you provide him control, low risk, and a high return?
Did I provide control, low risk, and yeah? He had control because of the collateral that was in the deal. He was better off if we didn't perform, and just like you teach. And high returns, I asked him what type of a return he wanted. He said 20%. So we gave him 20%, basically 20-point return in a 3 to 4 week turnaround.
I mean, it's phenomenal. Great return. You guys just happen to get an infinite return.
That's where partnership is great, because I had nothing to do with this whole deal. I've got to go out there and try to find something.
So, all right. So everyone listening, this is a mindset call. We're talking to two gentlemen who've done, closed 4 deals, 10 months. They're now, mindset. They got a 5th deal. They got me working for them now. They've got another deal with, $170,000 funding to wire to them tomorrow from taking this entrepreneurial mindset, finding a deal, finding the dollars, matchmaking, and monetizing that. They got another one they're working on. It's going to be even bigger than that, monetizing that deal. So it's just, the best advice I have, I heard from this wise man, he said this one time, get off your doofus and go do something. And
long-haired wise man.
Yeah, and follow up, but more, it's persistence, and just keep when things pop up, deal with them and keep moving on. And if you look at we at some point we all take a pencil to how much the last 12 months have been worth to you gentlemen, but it's a significant figure, and it's available to everyone on this call right now if you can follow the same system. Because it's just a system. It's a process. It's a process. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
To me, it's 80% mindset, 20% knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think you got to have the right mindset each morning. It's something you got to work on a day-by-day basis. Nobody's born with the perfect mindset, and you just got to work on it, and then get to work and follow the system.
All right, gentlemen. Outstanding. I don't see any more questions. So, just more and more excited, looking forward to an exciting new year for you guys, and looking forward to us getting our deal closed together here. And just thank you so much tonight for sharing, all the details, basically what you guys are going through. It's great generosity, very much appreciated by me, and I know by everybody else on the call. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. That's what it's all about.
Appreciate it.
All right. There you go. So let's see. All right, where we are now. That's what I want to talk about with those two gentlemen. And at some point we need to take a pencil to what the last 12 months have been has been worth to them in hard dollars and in equity gain, and probably more valuable is the getting a business launched and the mindset adjustment that goes with it. All right, so let's do this. I had a couple other questions that came in here that were delayed. I want to go ahead and answer. This is a follow-up question from Mike about what's important in a deal. And I said cap rate, that the cap rate needs to be higher than the market cap. And he's asking, when I talk to brokers about market cap rates in my area, Florida, I'm getting different numbers, plus or minus 8% to 9%, or maybe much less than 10%. In a place like Florida, Mike, you're going to find that the market cap rates are lower than most of the country, so you're doing the right thing. Just ask brokers, what is the market cap rate? If the market cap rate for Class C in Florida is 8, for example, then you're looking for deals that are 9 and 10 and above. You just have to always, the overlying rule is always, buy a property at a cap rate higher than the market cap rate. That's going to give you equity in the deal.